So Apple's about to do something this fall that almost guarantees a wave of internet outrage. They're going to release an iPhone that looks basically the same as last year's iPhone. And I think that might be the smartest thing they've done in a while. I know I can already hear the keyboards warming up, but stay with me. Here's why that's not the take you think it is. This fall, Apple's lineup is going to be unusual. The more expensive models, the iPhone 18 Pro, Pro Max, and the brand new iPhone Fold, are expected to launch in September 2026, while the standard iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e get pushed to early 2027. That alone is a scheduling shakeup Apple has never really done before. It's like showing up to Thanksgiving in October and telling everyone else to come back in January. And when you combine that with the fact that this will be the first foldable iPhone ever, you start to realize something. The iPhone Fold is launching alongside the Pro models this fall, and it's clearly going to absorb most of the spotlight, which means the iPhone 18 Pro is walking into its own launch event, potentially playing second fiddle. Imagine training for the Olympics and then finding out your sibling is also competing in a cooler sport. Now, what caught my attention was this. At the beginning of 2026, rumors surfaced that the iPhone 18 Pro might come with some major design changes, but those were later brushed off as being lost in translation. A fresh leak from Digital Chat Station further reinforced that Apple may not be pushing for under-display Face ID with this year's flagship. At first, this sounded minor. Another leak, another correction, business as usual, just another Tuesday in the Apple rumor mill where everyone's an insider until they're not. But then the picture got clearer. The design of the iPhone 18 Pro will reportedly be largely unchanged compared to its predecessor, with Apple reusing the molds from the iPhone 17 Pro to manufacture the new model. The dynamic island stays the same size and shape, no shrinkage, no under-display migration. That's the part that changes the context, because the knee-jerk reaction is disappointment. Same phone, same design, Apple's lazy. You can already see the memes being drafted. Someone's probably already made a side-by-side comparison with the caption spot the difference, and honestly, they'd be right. Visually, almost identical, but visually isn't the whole story. Those memes will be missing the point. Here's where the pattern recognition kicks in. Apple used to have a very deliberate rhythm. The iPhone 4 was the redesign, the 4S was the refinement, the iPhone 5 changed the shape, the 5S perfected it, the iPhone 6 went bigger, the 6S made it better, tick-tock, redesign, then refine. It was basically Apple's version of leg day. You don't skip it, you just alternate. That strategy kind of disappeared after the iPhone 12, which kicked off a design language that stayed largely unchanged for years. The 12, 13, 14, they all sort of blurred together visually, like sequels to a movie where even the actors forgot which one they were in. But the iPhone 17 Pro, that was the most significant visual overhaul in a long time. The clear pattern here is Apple's going back to tick-tock. The 17 Pro was the tick. The 18 Pro is the tock. And honestly, that doesn't look accidental. And this isn't some uniquely Apple thing either. Samsung, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, virtually every major manufacturer sticks to a design for at least 2 years before making significant changes. Expecting Apple to reinvent the exterior annually wouldn't just be unrealistic, it would be inefficient. That's like expecting your barber to invent a new hairstyle every visit. Sometimes the fade just works. You leave it alone. So if the outside isn't changing, what is? This is where it gets interesting. The A20 Pro chip, built on a 2 nanometer process, a larger battery with over 5,000 milliamp hour capacity, and camera aperture changes are being called out as the strong selling points. That's not a small list. That's like saying nothing changed and then handing someone a completely rebuilt engine. Let me break that down. The A20 will use TSMC's 2 nanometer process for power and efficiency improvements, And the transition to 2 nanometers will allow for more transistors in each chip, boosting performance. This is the first time a 2 nanometer chip would ship inside an iPhone. That's a genuine semiconductor milestone. The kind of thing that engineers celebrate with fancy coffee and a deep exhale. It's reportedly built on TSMC's next generation N2 process and uses wafer-level multi-chip module packaging. What that means in plain English, RAM gets directly integrated on the wafer with the neural engine, GPU, and CPU. Everything talks to everything faster, more efficiently, and in a smaller footprint. Basically, all the components moved into the same apartment instead of shouting across the hallway. This approach might deliver improved Apple Intelligence performance and better battery life. Now, pair that chip with the battery. Supply chain information suggests the iPhone 18 Pro Max battery capacity will hover around 5,000 to 5,200 milliamp hours, and coupled with the 2 nanometer A20 Pro chip, battery life could be something truly worth looking forward to. A more efficient chip plus a bigger battery, that's not a spec sheet flex. That's a daily use improvement that every single owner will notice. The kind of upgrade that doesn't photograph well for Twitter, but absolutely matters when your phone's at 40% at 11 p.m. instead of dying at 6 p.m. like it personally has somewhere to be. And then there's the camera. The main camera could feature a variable aperture, giving users more control over how their photos look, manually adjusting how much light hits the sensor, reducing overexposure, and offering new customization options for lighting and depth of field. That's a meaningful optics upgrade, not a megapixel race, because at some point, adding more megapixels is like adding more lanes to a highway. It doesn't fix the traffic. It just makes the file sizes bigger. There's one more piece people aren't talking enough about. Apple is expanding its in-house modem rollout, with all 3 premium models listed with the Apple C2 baseband chip, marking a further step away from Qualcomm. Somewhere at Qualcomm headquarters, someone just felt a chill. That's Apple's second generation in-house modem. The C2 could add support for 5G satellite connectivity using new radio non-terrestrial networks, which could allow the iPhone 18 Pro models to offer fuller internet access over satellite when standard networks are unavailable. I initially thought the modem story was just an internal supply chain move, Apple cutting ties with Qualcomm, saving costs, nothing user-facing, but satellite internet on a phone, that's not a behind-the-scenes optimization. That's a feature category that didn't exist on iPhones 2 years ago. 2 years ago, if you lost signal in the middle of nowhere, you just accepted your fate. Now, your phone might casually connect to space. We're living in a sci-fi movie, and nobody's reacting appropriately. Now, here's something that surprised me. The transition to TSMC's 2 nanometer chip manufacturing adds approximately $35 per chip in production costs, a 70% increase over the current 3 nanometer process, and Apple is expected to absorb that cost rather than pass it on to consumers. That's a deliberate margin hit. And what this tells me is that reusing the iPhone 17 Pro's design isn't just a tick-tock philosophy decision. It's also a cost management strategy. You save on manufacturing tooling and molds on the outside, so you can invest in significantly more expensive silicon on the inside. The trade-off is real and it's rational. It's like renovating the kitchen instead of repainting the house. Nobody sees the plumbing, but everyone notices when the water pressure is incredible. The article makes a strong point here. If the design reuse helps Apple avoid a price increase for the iPhone 18 Pro, it's hard to imagine anyone genuinely complaining. One analyst even believes iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max prices will remain unchanged. Same price, better guts. I don't know about you, but I've never returned a meal because the plate looked the same as last time. And that brings up the question nobody in the leak cycle ever asks. Who's actually buying this phone? It's not iPhone 17 Pro owners. Almost nobody upgrades year over year. If you do, no judgment, but also your bank account is looking at you with concern. The people buying the iPhone 18 Pro are coming from an iPhone 15 Pro, maybe an iPhone 14 Pro, maybe even older. Some of you are still on the iPhone 12, acting like everything is fine, while your battery icon has become a permanent anxiety trigger. For those people, the 18 Pro isn't a talk, it's a massive leap. New design, new chip architecture, new modem, bigger battery, better cameras. They're going to walk into the store and the only thing they'll stress about is the color. Online discourse optimizes specs. Most people optimize comfort, reliability, and is this noticeably better than what I have? The iPhone 18 Pro answers that second question easily for anyone 2 or more generations back. Here's the other strategic layer that makes this work. The arrival of the iPhone Fold, expected to start at $1999 or more, quietly repositions the iPhone 18 Pro Max as the sensible premium choice. Compared to a $2,000 foldable, $1,199 starts to feel like value. Apple really said, let me put a $2,000 phone next to a $1,200 phone and watch people feel responsible for spending $1,200. That's not marketing, that's behavioral psychology with a receipt. That's when it started to look different to me. Apple isn't neglecting the 18 Pro, they're creating a two-tier excitement structure. The Fold gets the spectacle, the Pro gets the substance, and for anyone who wants something genuinely radical and new, Apple's saying, here, go buy the Fold. For everyone else, we refine the thing you already loved. It's actually a clever pressure release. The people who complain every year about not enough change finally have somewhere to go, and the people who just want a great phone get exactly that without paying for novelty they never asked for. So here's what I think the real story is. The iPhone 18 Pro isn't the headline phone this year. It's not supposed to be. It's the backbone phone, the one that sells 70 million units while everyone's debating the Fold's crease. It takes last year's most successful design, keeps the price stable, drops in a generational chip upgrade, improves the camera optics, adds a bigger battery, and ships Apple's second-gen modem with satellite connectivity. That's not a boring upgrade. That's a disciplined one. And in a year where Apple's also launching its first foldable, asking the Pro to also carry a visual redesign would have been spreading ambition too thin across too many products. That's like asking your best employee to also plan the office party. Just let them do their job. The companies that try to make every product the hero every year are the ones that eventually ship something half-baked. What this tells me is Apple decided which product gets the spectacle and which one gets the substance. And for most buyers, the ones who don't spend their weekends in leak threads, the substance phone is the one they'll actually carry for 3 years. The memes will come. They always do. Someone will make a side-by-side with the caption, "Corporate needs you to find the difference," and it'll get 40,000 likes. But memes don't move 200 million units a year. Strategy does. See you next video. Peace.